I wanted to talk about an issue that needs to be talked about. Um, we've all seen our country fall apart. It's been dismantled from the inside out with communism, with China. And there is a man who has been claiming that his policies to make America great, make America first, make America safe, make America great again, were the answer. And apparently, job loss, security threats to our very nation, and to our government officials being spied on have started with the very man who was shouting out this rhetoric to save America. This man I'm talking about is the very man that caused his own demise and failed as president. So I want to peel back the layers on this and get down to the basics. So this is from Ron Klink, and he's a contributor. He was a former member of Congress, a Democrat politician, and he says that, well, he did a piece that Trump allowed China to infiltrate the Pentagon. And when I did my videos last year, I realized that as Trump was in office, our country was being destroyed on the back end. And I started realizing that he allowed China to infiltrate our country. And when you allow something like this, there's no stopping, there's no end to it once they get their foot in the door. And what happened is when Trump wheeled and dealed as a businessman, because he wasn't putting America first when he was dealing with these devils, he put himself first. And these Chinese aren't dumb. They know how to schmooze and bribe, use money, power to get what they want, to bribe people. So as President or Donald Trump was feeling proud of himself for getting whatever he got out of that deal on the back end, thinking it would never ever affect him. Maybe it would affect everyone else, but it won't affect him. And this is the type of family that doesn't care about other people. They will take what's not theirs, they will use it, profit off of it, and take credit for it. And this is something I've learned personally. And it could be, I don't care how small it is or how many predictions it was or whatever the case may be. These devils will lay down with other devils if they think no one else is going to find out. But what happened was it came back around and has been slapping Trump in the face nonstop. And I'm going to explain to you how. And he deserves it. And he should know he has no business panhandling America with his unicorn-esque, pipe dream-esque, BS-esque rhetoric of rallies. I mean, I've never seen such a diligent con man, double-dealing panhandler in my life. And when you have Laura Trump on Hannity saying, oh, well, no more rhinos, and then, you have Trump saying, openly referring to working with some rhinos, McCarthy or Meadows, and blah, 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 blah. I mean, these people can't even keep their lies straight. And Hannity, you should think twice before, promoting these con artists on your show so they can dupe the American people again, because he conned 87 million people, okay? But it came back to bite him. He ended up being a failure as a president, failure as a man, and just a failure as a human being. And let's peel back the layers and let's get to why. So on the campaign trail, as we know, President Trump has pledged to get tough on China, and despite his lofty rhetoric, he has allowed in the past a state-sponsored Chinese telecommunications company to infiltrate the Pentagon and Department of Homeland Security. This was something he did on the back end, okay? Now, numerous U.S. government officials have said that ZTE, a Chinese telecommunications giant with links to Beijing government, has been selling equipment to U.S. government agencies, the U.S. has historically upheld an unofficial ban on the use of Chinese telecommunications equipment, but by subcontracting their equipment, ZTE, and I wouldn't put it past him that Trump helped him with this because he's a businessman. By subcontracting their equipment, ZTE found a way to circumvent those restrictions. This was the starting of an alarm being caused among security officials and oversight committees who rightly feared that our national security was at risk due to President Trump. Now, ZTE's sales of equipment to the United States defense agencies is especially troubling due to private security firms' disclosure that Chinese phones, for example, contain software that uses a backdoor feature to send all data on handheld devices to Beijing every 72 hours. You got that right, every 72 hours. There's a very real possibility that China has had malicious software and it could be used to disrupt U.S. weapons systems. And we shouldn't have allowed a company with close ties to the People's Liberation Army, which is China's military, into our most sensitive government agencies. And this isn't a partisan issue. In fact, back in 2012, a report put out by the House Intelligence Committee identified ZTE as a potential security threat due to its ties to the Chinese government. And a Pentagon Defense Science report recently warned that foreign states will use vulnerabilities in the supply chain to conduct cyber sabotage against the United States weapons and equipment, and it appears that's been happening ever since. This isn't the first time ZTEs represented a threat to our national security. They're repeat offenders. In fact, earlier in 2017, ZTE was hit with a $1.19 billion fine for violating U.S. sanctions by selling goods to Iran and North Korea. ZTE Corporation not only violated export controls that keep sensitive American technology out of hands of hostile regimes like Iran's, but they lied to federal investigators and even deceived their own counsel and internal investigators about the illegal acts. And again, this was at the hands of Trump. Now, this is according to Attorney General Jeff Sessions. They're also widely believed to be responsible for a data breach that occurred at the Office of Personnel Management, which targeted the records of an estimated 21.5 million Americans. So, Trump unleashed these gates of hell onto our country on the down low, on the back end. And he turned a blind eye ever since. And then he goes on TV, he goes on these rallies, he signs executive orders one after another. Let's make America great again. Let's keep America's jobs. But wait, there are other problems allowing ZTE to serve as a U.S. equipment contractor. For one, they don't play by the rules. They do what they want. They smile in your face, and the minute you walk away thinking you made a deal with them, they're up to no good. And they've, constantly violated U.S. patents. ZTE's been hit with lawsuits from AVC, DataQuil, and Infiltration Corp. And a Bloomberg law search showed that ZTE has been a defendant in U.S. patent cases at least 170 times. And a study from the Center for Strategic and international studies estimated that about 500,000 U.S. jobs are lost each year from costs associated with cyber espionage, and Chinese firms are some of the worst offenders. So we have this man saying let's keep our job, let's keep America great, keep America strong, and this asshole is the catalyst, if not the catalyst, one of the catalysts for letting our country being taken over by China. He couldn't uphold any of these policies he put in place. Not even the wall. He couldn't save his own ass when he did this, and who knows what else he did on the back end and profited off of and didn't think it was ever going to affect him. And it affected him more than he ever bargained for, because he's an idiot and he's selfish and he's a double-dealing crook. So the Trump administration, what should they have done? They should have, never allowed this. The previous administration, Obama, tried and supposedly failed with dealing with China's hacking. 64% of all complaints from the Obama administration lodged at the World Trade Organization for obviously fell under deaf ears or had negligible results against China's predatory attacks. Communists are predators, and they've brainwashed our country for us to hate each other, for us to attack one another and burn down cities, and all in the name of racism, all in the name of just this ridiculousness. Because we have communism that wants to conquer, divide, destroy, and dominate. So, these predatory tactics never stopped. Communists don't stop. Satanics don't stop. They keep going. They keep going from all directions. And then when one this loses, they'll have someone else come in and take over, so the attack never stops on whatever it is they're trying to accomplish. Whether it's stalking, Scientology fair game, being on the watch list, this all goes hand in hand with why our country's fallen apart. So first and foremost, President Trump made a big mistake allowing U.S. government security agencies to utilize equipment and state-sponsored companies with the intent on disrupting our defense systems. There were no official rules that banned Chinese companies from selling goods to the Pentagon or DHS, and that needed to change. And President Trump should have restricted government agencies from using Chinese equipment that could allow them to spy on our officials and hack into our defense systems. That was a no-brainer. And, our market is very lucrative for Chinese. The Chinese businesses, they sell the U.S. almost $700 billion worth of goods and services, and the current administration should, use access to the American market as leverage for future negotiations. And that was said in my last story when I did it on the World Trade Organization, and how they made a mistake with allowing China in. Because once they get their foot in, that's it. You give them an inch and they want to take over your country. And then they're going to start hunting and killing and people in your country who don't abide by their agenda, and they're gonna refer to it as racism or refer to it as you're a terrorist. And that's what's going on. So, Trump would have had more support from Republicans, and, lawmakers wrote to Secretary of State John Kerry noting that ZTE at a minimum has influenced our government, that we were highly influenced by the Chinese government, and fighting back against ZTE would fulfill President's rhetoric campaign pledge to get tough on China and make America great again. So, allowing a foreign government to supply our defense agencies equipment doesn't make America safe, it doesn't make America great. It's a reckless move that threatened and destroyed our U.S. national security. And Trump did not make any decisive action to end ZTE's actions. So, again, President Trump didn't think, "Oh, this is gonna affect me." No, he didn't think it was gonna affect him. He thought he was doing this on the down low. He was gonna get some type of kickback on the back end, some type of profit, some type of power. And it completely was the beginning. It was the catalyst, or one of the catalysts, if not the catalyst, that is responsible for the state our country is in right now. So when he sits back and complains, "Oh, well, I'm a great president, look at all these policies," you don't have a chance with any of those policies. The damage was done. What you did, the damage was done. Those policies couldn't save our country from what you started, that fire you started. It couldn't save our country, your policies, and you couldn't save yourself with those policies. And when the election came around, his history of throwing our country under the bandwagon came back to haunt him, because the very destruction he unleashed on our country with China came back and slapped him in the face with those voting machines, because they had the same susceptibilities and vulnerabilities. These back doors open, you can pump and dump information, put a USB in, the system would crash. They were taking out numbers, adding numbers, switching numbers. He did it to himself. He stole his own election. He stole the election from our country. And he's driving everyone crazy, making it seem like he's this innocent person. No, he is the reason our country is a shit show right now. And Hannity, you should be ashamed of yourself for allowing this guy to be on your show and promoting his future rallies just to panhandle and just to take our country for a further ride. He's no better than Biden and Hunter. At least Biden and Hunter stick to their crew, and Trump just screws everybody over, all full circle, screws everybody over. And at the end, he failed as a president, he failed as a man, and he failed our country. He failed as a human being. He's a failure. These predators, these double-dealing, insincere falsehoods, these frauds have no business being on Fox, have no business being anywhere near TV. All right, guys, I'm running out of time. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm going to put up a link in case you'd like to donate to help me with some legal fees and with moving. I'll be talking more about that. And God bless everyone. Have a great weekend. I got to hurry off. My time's going to be running out. But we got duped. We got clowned by one of the biggest clowns. And the rest of America, who doesn't realize that this man was the reason for the beginning of the downfall of our country, that came back to haunt him and bite him in the butt, is the same fraud that wants to steal from us with lies and rhetoric and unicorn pipe dream rallies. What a damn shame. And Trump, don't think Father Pavone can save you with his prayers. Just because you have a priest on tap doesn't mean you're not going to have to deal with what you've done to our country. God's not dumb. You didn't dupe God, you duped yourself. All right, guys, I'll see you on the next video. Bye, everyone. Be good to each other.